Okay, so boom, we're back. Angels in politics. Remember, you are the news. This is the White Collar Goon, the creative and artistic manifestation of Angels in Politics. We've already established. Have you had your meal? You have not. That is great. Do not break your fast too early. If you are going to break your fast, make sure you have the constructive or positive or the uplifting constituents in the body before you start to have the meal. So, get into the black seed oil, get into the spirulina, get into the wheatgrass powder, get into the ashwagandha, get into the maca root powder, get into it. Maybe start off with a little bit of probiotic. Start off with the apple cider vinegar. Okay, so we've got that established. Black seed oil, you got that established. Hot water, hot water, hot water with lemon, maybe a little bit of ginger. Make sure you have the ginger. Maybe a little bit of honey. Okay, so you get it. So you get it. Maybe get into that before you go to sleep, and then first thing in the morning, and follow that process. Add that to your system of synchronicity. Add that to your system of synthesis. Add that to your system, and then you're starting to notice, man, I'm feeling a little different. Maybe my mind is a little different. Oh my gosh, did you do your morning rituals this morning? Did you meditate this morning? I personally did not because I was late to yoga, but I still made it on time. It was a great class. Okay, so boom. Why do I like yoga? Yoga's a challenge. I love being challenged. That's my personality archetype, and I found out you are just a challenger. You're just a challenger kind of guy. But sometimes you can intimidate people because you are so boom, 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 ready to not only face your fears, you welcome your fears. You are looking for your fears. You're like, oh man, what am I afraid of? Because if I'm afraid of it, that must mean I'm on the path to I'm on the right direction. I'm headed towards the right direction. Fear, I mean, I have this written down somewhere, but if you're fearful of something, if you have fear, that means you're headed in the right direction. Then you're doing something right, because getting over it is like, that is your way of leveling up. That's your way of ascension. That is the way you become self-actualized, and you figure out who you are to achieve your archetypal hero, archetypal superhero. Okay, superhero meaning what? Like, meaning you're self-actualized, you're competent, you're intelligent, you're industrious, you're intuitive. Wow. Face your fears. What are your strengths? Maximize them, optimize them. Okay, boom. What are your weaknesses? Figure them out, and then you can change your fears, shift your weaknesses until they become strengths, because you are just an all-around superhero. Okay, boom. So let's go back to precociousness. All right, I mentioned how in 8th grade I was too turned up for the field trips with everybody else because of my assertiveness, aggressive behavior. They classified it as my advanced level of maturity amongst my peers, according to my peers. So they needed to have a guy walk with me and two other of my friends to make sure we just didn't get ourselves in trouble. Fair enough, fair play, because they were right. I was plotting. I could give two shits about, roller coasters. I could give two shits about, the carousel and, cotton candy. What I was thinking about was like, okay, where's homegirl? I mean, no, like, where's homegirl? I'm gonna pull up on this girl, and if there's new girls out here, now, I wasn't cold approaching that time, so I can't even stunt. I can't even stunt. Let's be real. Okay, before I get into it, let's be real. I remember having that what's his name, Mr. Olivier, as a chaperone. And it was me and my two homeboys, but we were waiting in line for a ride, and there was this there was this young woman who was, evidently near our age, because I think a lot of schools were at, the amusement park at this time. Evidently it was like a school-wide thing or a city-wide or area-wide thing where a lot of schools were at the amusement park. But this girl was developed for her age. If she was our age, if she was 14, she was tall, taller than me, taller than my friends. She had short shorts, so you could see her legs, you could see the skin, and based on her physiology, based on her aesthetic, she stood out. She stood out amongst whatever I saw out there, amongst her peers. So she was she was fit. Let's say that. To be a 14-year-old, she didn't look like she was 14. She was well developed in her bosom. She had thighs, and I was like, damn, And I remember she was standing near us. She was standing in front of us whilst we were waiting in line to go on this, whatever this ride was, bumper cars or some shit like that. And I remember Mr. Olivier, which is our chaperone, standing there with us, and he saw the way. Well, he was a white man, and it was a younger white woman too, white girl, and he saw the way we were looking her up and down, me and my homeboys, and he saw her statuesque figure, and I remember he didn't say anything at the moment because she was there, but we didn't do anything. Let me emphasize that she was standing right in front of us, but we didn't say shit. I didn't say shit. Mr. Bold, Mr. Aggressive, Mr. Advanced for his social atmosphere. I didn't say shit to that young lady. I was close by. I was waiting, waiting for her to turn around, and maybe if she would have said something to me, she would open up Pandora's box. But I didn't initiate anything. So she ends up getting on her bumper card and going around, and we ride and do our thing. And I remember us getting off the ride and walking away. And Mr. Olivier said to us, he was like, well, guys, if you're that close to the girl, or he said something like, and this is an older guy, all gray hair, and he was a well-spoken but quieter guy. So I wouldn't imagine him to say this, but now that I think about it, he had grandkids, and he's been there, done that. He was a teenager too, so we never really think about that when we were 13 or 14. But he put us on to some real shit. He was like, guys, when a girl is like that and you're standing right there, the key is you gotta say something. He didn't say you gotta say something, but he was like, she, I don't know how he worded it, but basically or essentially he was saying like she was standing there and she wanted you all to like have a conversation with her at least. You didn't have to hit on her. You didn't have to, mention the fact that she looked like a woman, but like you can treat her like a normal person, like a human being, and say hello, and he was right by that. And it was crazy because the truth of the matter was I was intimidated, even though I was, socially or emotionally or psychologically or whatever advanced as he tried to claim it, because I was going after girls in my school. But I knew those girls in my school. Those girls were in my PE classes. Those girls were in the lunchroom with me. Those girls, we grew up together from sixth grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade. But this girl was somebody I didn't know, so this would be classified as a cold approach, and I wasn't cold approaching at 14. Well, I can't talk about the guys. I can talk about myself. There's a lot of guys who don't cold approach at all, but I wasn't cold approaching then. I wasn't saying what up to a girl who I didn't know, and she was like literally arm's reach right there, and she had a body. She had a body, and she looked like a young woman. She looked like a young woman, and I didn't say anything. So the fact of the matter is, the truth is, I was intimidated. She didn't look like a lot of the girls that were in our 8th grade class. Like I said, she was taller than me. She had breasts and she had her thighs out. And, according to maybe she had on makeup. So, to other people, they'll be like, man, she's a bit, revealing. Maybe she was a bit more advanced. Maybe she should have had a teacher telling her, like, homegirl, you're looking like that. You might need a chaperone, but that's not true. That's not true, because just because she looks like that doesn't mean that she's mentally, emotionally, psychologically, socially advanced. Only thing she is that she physically stands out. She's physically matured more so than her peers. So I really want to get into that. My father used to say precociousness was normally associated with women, because we understand that puberty is across the board. It's not just guys and it's not just girls, but puberty in accordance to women is a bit more, let's say, evident, right? Because you can see that boy who's 10 and who's 11 and who's 12, and yeah, he might play baseball and soccer and basketball and football, but when he undergoes puberty, it's not like overnight he has muscles. You know what I'm saying? Like, overnight he might get a little fuzz and under his arms, and you're gonna get a little bit of, hair on your abdomen, or a little bit of hair on your chest, and I still don't have hair on my chest. So I mean, but that's what happens over time. I remember being in 8th grade and we were dressing out for the football team and seeing some guys who already had back hair and chest hair. We would joke them, but it's like, bro, that's just a man. That's just a young man already. You know what I'm saying? There was guys who had goatees and people who had tattoos and shit. Like, I'm like, bro, you're only. I was like 13 at the time, and I'm seeing guys who were tall. Like, I remember being in the 6th grade and looking at like fucking giants, and they were in the 8th grade. So like within 2 years, I was seeing guys who were 6'3" and 6'4", and they had muscles, and I was like, bro, you're like a fucking grown ass man, dude. You look like grown ass men. And those were the guys who were really good at sports, and a lot of the girls liked them, and it was obvious why. They were the most masculine physically. Now mentally, they were still 14. You know what I'm saying? They were still 13, 14, 15, but like physically they stood out. So imagine women in the sense of precociousness, right? Imagine the difference between having that young 10-year-old girl who's 10 years old, and then she's 11 years old, and she's in the 5th grade, and then she's 12, and then she's in the 6th grade, and for fuck's sake, in one summer break, from 12 to 13, or from 11 to 12, or from 13 to 14, that same girl who was just like everybody else who's that age, who was in middle school, who didn't undergo something super, they didn't go through a process or an awakening process that made them more mature. It's not like they experienced more life than us at 13. It's not like, they had tragic, catastrophic life events. Maybe some of them did, and then we'll get into how some of them do, that happened to them when they're 12 or 13. But really, it is those pivotal years, 11, 12, 13. By the time a young woman is 14, it is like mind-boggling to look at her, because whether you're a father, dude, whether you're the uncle, whether you're an older man, you can look at these young ladies, and the maturation is more physical. It is more visceral. It is more direct in the fact that you see the difference. It's like, yo, this young boy, he's getting taller. This young 14-year-old boy, his voice is getting a little deeper, but he's still strangly. He's still gangly. He's still, he needs to hit the weight room, and he'll fill out in about 15. I mean, he'll fill out maybe when he's 16. He might fill out when he's 17. And that's only if he chooses to be a wrestler, chooses to be a football player, chooses to be the guy who lifts weights. And out of 10 guys, it's not half of them, I would say. There's a lot of guys who aren't into that type of shit. I mean, now to this day, there's a lot of grown men who are, have the body archetype of a high schooler, and they're married with kids. But there are some guys who are pushing it, and they're ready to get strong. I was that guy ready to do push-ups because I wanted to be masculine. I wanted to be, stand out amongst the crowd, and that's my personality. I'm a challenger. But the women maybe necessarily aren't that way. Maybe the women didn't want to. Some girls maybe wanted to look a bit more grown up. Some girls wanted to mature faster than others, but some girls didn't. Some girls just woke up and was like, I got hips now. And one summer, now I got breasts. And one summer, I realized that I no longer want to just watch Powder Puff Girls and play outside and get dirty with the climbing trees and shit like that. And one summer, something went off and was like, yo, I'm looking like a young lady. And of course, they have their own, maturation process with their own cycle and things like that. But that's a psychological thing. That means, psychological, and it's very physical, because they're looking at themselves and like, wow, I'm going through this thing. I'm going through a process once a month, and this process is telling me, even though psychologically, socially, mentally, emotionally, I am not ready to bear children, but the physical nature is showing that I could, right? And there are a lot of women who wake up and it starts to go down in the sense of like, wow, I look different. And not only do I look different, I am being treated differently. I am being perceived differently. I was just a 12-year-old girl a year or two ago, and I could walk around and hang out and be running in the streets, and nothing was nothing. I was just with the girls and the guys. But from that year, from 12 to 14 or 12 to 15, that young girl isn't walking down the street anymore thinking that, life is just rainbows and unicorns, because young men, and sometimes older men, and let's really get into it, are now treating them drastically differently. I mean, radically so. All of a sudden, with the emergence of these hips, with the emergence of this, development in my chest, with the emergence of me putting on just a little, I mean, even if they don't put on makeup, even if girls don't put on makeup, just the physical change of their bodies, not much has changed here, but now your older brothers, friends are now hitting on you. Now, when you walk down the street, guys who are driving are looking you up and down in a way that's like, wait, that's coming to me. So girls are taken aback by what they call precociousness, but it's not their fault. It's really just them being young ladies and they're developing. But like, the world has changed. The world has changed around them, because now, man, there's guys that they thought were just, a family friend, or, your sister's, male friend, or all of these people, elder cousins and family members, or you thought they were family members. All of these guys are starting to, like, and not all guys, but some guys, and most women will be like, yo, like, you'll be surprised. They're starting to perceive you and look at you in a different way. And I'm just saying perception and looking. There are some women who are saying, yo, when I turned 14 and 15, when I was 13, 14, 15, you'll be blown away by the shit guys said to me. Older men said to me. So fuck what you heard about this, surviving R. Kelly bullshit. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying that's not true. It's definitely true. I'm just saying R. Kelly ain't the only motherfucker that was pulling up on young women. Do you hear me? And there's plenty of women. I mean, line up 10 women, 8 or 9 have stories of like, yeah, when I was 14 and 15 walking around in the mall with my friends, there were older guys talking to us. Maybe not R&B superstars who are 28 or 30, like Aaliyah was having, but at the same time, there's a lot of girls that saying I was a motherfucking Aaliyah and I was 14 years old and there were some grown ass men hitting on me straight the fuck up. All up and down the East Coast, all up and down the Midwest, all up and down Middle America, all up and down the West Coast. There's no girl, very few girls that don't have stories of the attention, the unwarranted attention, ding ding ding, the unwarranted sexual attention that guys gave them simply because they had a little bit of thighs out, or they started having their hips, expanded a bit. Maybe they had their chest developed a bit. Do you hear me? That's not counting the girls who put on a little makeup, because there's girls who are 14 and 15 and they like that attention, and it's not a bad thing, because I like the attention from girls. Why would you not think that the young women don't like the attention from boys, right? So there was a lot of girls who were 14, 15 and were saying, yo, the other 14-year-olds, they're not on my level. They're still outside playing basketball with their boys. They're still out there trading cars. They're still out there playing motherfucking Xbox and PlayStation. There's 14-year-old women, 15-year-old women saying, yo, I'm going through these changes and I like the fact that I'm getting attention from men. Maybe not the fucking old ass creepy uncle. Maybe not the fucking, guy at the fast food counter that's asking me for my number and he's 19 and he's 20 and I'm only 13 or 14 and he's a fucking creep. But the young handsome guy who's a few years older than her, yeah, that's how it goes, bro. Not how it goes like I'm telling you, like, I mean, all girls are like that. I'm just telling you that women develop physically faster, exponentially so, than boys. I remember the way some girls looked in 6th grade and I was like, yeah, I don't see other I remember being in 6th grade and looking at some girls and be like, yo, what's going on here? Going on in a good way, but like I can understand why those girls in 6th grade said, oh, we have 8th grade boyfriends. Or those girls in the 6th grade or 7th grade said we were dating guys in high school. I can see why. The other 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds couldn't handle it. We weren't ready for that. Not even close. I was quote unquote advanced and I was put in the position, not in that position, but I was put in a position where there was a young girl right in front of my face. I ain't say shit. I said fuck all. She was right in front of me. Not to say I should have pulled up on her and got her phone number. I had a cell phone back then. I had a cell phone when I was in the 7th grade, 8th grade. I could have got her number. I could have said what up, but I didn't. I was like, man, this is a grown ass woman right here. right? So if I'm feeling that way at 14, don't worry. Don't worry. A girl walking around looking like that, homeboy who was 20, 21, or even older. R. Kelly ain't the only motherfucking creep out here. And I'm gonna go as far as to say maybe those guys aren't really that creepy. It's fucked up. Let me answer. Let me put that down. It's fucked up, and you should know better. But I'm saying there's a lot of women saying, "Yo, it ain't only R. Kelly out here that was saying some shit to me when I was 15, 16. It wasn't some creepy uncle that was just saying some shit to me when I was 13. It was a lot of dudes, politicians, church folks, motherfucking family friends, motherfucking people that you might hold to a high regard. Yeah, there's a lot of these guys that when they saying one thing, but they see the body archetype, when they see the archetype, when they see the physical nature, when they see the aesthetics of some of these young ladies growing and developing, their mind isn't saying, man, that's still a young girl. Their mind isn't saying, man, she's still socially homegirl's in the 10th grade. Homegirl's in the 9th grade. Homegirl's in the 11th. Homegirl's still in high school. No, motherfucker. There's still military guys and all these people saying, oh, how old are you? You 16, 17? You think that stops them? Oh, you're 16, 17? Okay, cool. So when you turn, okay. So can I get your number? Like, damn, girls will be like, yo, I just told you my age. Let me tell you this, and I'll end it here. I was a senior in high school, and around here in Norfolk, we used to have what they call an African American festival. We used to call it the Afro Fest. And that brought a lot of vendors out there, a lot of shops, a lot of black businesses would come out there and set up, and it was amazing food. Concerts would be there. Trey Songz would perform. I saw fucking, Music Soul Child, and R&B singers like Avant, and I'm talking this is mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s, 2008, 2007, 2009, 2006, around that time. So we had all that type of shit going down. Big Daddy Kane performed, all shit like that. But good food. You can get the big ass turkey leg. You can get the Philly cheesesteaks. You were getting wings and fries, but that's where you bought your forces. That's where you bought the Jordans, all kind of shit. And that's where you wore your new outfits. That's where you got dressed up, right? So everybody from the 7 cities came down to Afran Fest. And I remember by the time I was a senior in high school, I was single at the time. I was with my homies. I had my fucking patent leather forces on. I maybe had my motherfucking NASCAR jacket on with the patches and logos. Maybe I had my shit on. Maybe I was kidding. Maybe I had my wave spinning back when I had hair and shit. So I was kitted out. I felt like I was on my shit, and I guess I was. I was talking to girls. Hey, whatever. What's up? We was on that vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would catch people from my high school, from the football team, basketball team. I saw people from Virginia Beach, all different, all around. If you were known, if you wanted to be seen, you were at the motherfucking festival. So I remember seeing one of my homegirls from middle school. Her name was Marquise. Shout out to homie. She went to a different school, but she was walking around, and Marquise was solid. Beautiful, beautiful brown skin sister. Beautiful sister. She was walking around with his homegirl, who was a hammer. I'm talking like a pistol. I'm talking like she was my type. That's my archetype. So it was a nice young sister who was walking with her, and she was bad, and she had the hair flowing, and her skin was glowing, and she had the vibe. She had a vibe. Without saying it, without even thinking, and this is the truth. When you find the girl that you like, your archetypal girl, the archetype that you're looking for, that's when your best game comes out, because you're not even thinking about it. Well, at least for me, I didn't even think about it. When I saw her locked in, boom, I'm going over there. And then I found out that the girl next to her was my homie Marquise. Okay, so this is about to be a wrap. I pulled up on homegirl with such, not veracity, but with such assertiveness, like, homegirl, what's up? And I remember the girl looked at me almost with annoyance, was like, yo, pull back, like I don't even know if I tried to touch her hand. She was like, yo, I'm only 15. Ugh. Like that. And I was like, homegirl, I'm 17. Like, I mean, it was only 2 years, and she looked at me as if, like, what she was used to, she was solid. Like, yo, another creepy ass old guy hitting on me. Like, that's what her mind was like. What is up with these old ass men? If she was walking around there, I know there would have been 15, 20 guys that were up there talking to her, and they were all probably older. But I was in high school with her, only a year or two above her, and I remember Marquise was like, "Oh no, he's in my grade." I remember her saying like, "No, he just looks old. He just looks like a man." That's all it is. He just looks like a man. He's not that old. He looks older, but she was taken aback by it. She wasn't fucking with it. Like literally. She was not here for it. Homegirl, and maybe she just didn't find me attractive. Maybe it was the influx of guys that were hitting on her that day, but she literally looked at me with disgust. It was like, how dare you approach me? I'm 15 years old. I'm 15 years old. So guys, understand that it's a real thing. Like, it didn't matter if you was 1 year older, 2 years older. Just the whole thing is like, guys are going after it whenever women start to get a certain age. But like, she was still young. She was socially probably in the 10th grade, emotionally in the 10th grade, psychologically still in the 10th grade, and she probably, like normal, wasn't ready for all that attention. Just because she was pretty, just because she had a nice body, just because her hair was down, just because she had all of that, that doesn't mean that didn't warrant that level of attention. God bless. Namaste.